Hello and welcome to my kitchen. My name is Cheri and today is Wacky Wednesday. We are going to be making some root beer float cookies. But first, if you're new here, you love food, fun, and wacky recipes, hit the subscribe button as well as the notification bell and check below for details on how subscribing helps to feed the hungry. So yes, root beer float cookies. If you tuned in yesterday was National Chocolate Chip Cookie Day and it was also Tip for Tuesday. So I gave you guys some good tips on how to make the perfect cookie. Well, tomorrow is National Root Beer Float Day, and it's Thirsty Thursday, so we're going to make a grown-up adult version of the root beer float. So I thought since today's Wednesday and it's wacky, we are right smack dab in the middle of those 2 days. Let's put them together and let's make some root beer float cookies. So I am excited, like I said, because I love root beer floats, I love cookies, and my husband does too. So I'm hoping this is going to be a home run for both of us. We're both going to love these cookies. So to get started, I'm going to work with my wet ingredients first. I have got a half a cup of butter. So a full stick here that I'm going to go ahead and cream. And then we're going to go ahead and add 1 cup of brown sugar. Can you hear me? 1 cup of brown sugar we're going to add to this. All right, once we have our sugar and our buttercream together, we are going to add the rest of our wet ingredients. So 1 egg. And then I have got some root beer float concentrate here, so that's what I'm using. If you just have some root beer, you can use that as well because we're also going to add some vanilla flavoring. So I've got 1 full teaspoon of the root beer concentrate I'm adding. And then I'm also going to add a half a teaspoon of vanilla. So if you just have root beer, I would add a full teaspoon of vanilla. And I don't think in this recipe it makes too much of a difference if you're going to use the expensive stuff or the cheap stuff. If you are going to use the cheap stuff, though, I will tell you that Baker's imitation is like 99 cents at Walmart. It's actually the best imitation, I believe, that's out there. All right, so we're going to cream this together. And that looks pretty good. So I'm going to take my beaters out of here. I'm actually going to set this aside. We're going to put this in the sink. And we're going to work with our dry ingredients now. So I've got 2 cups of all-purpose flour. And I'm going to add a half a teaspoon of salt and a half a teaspoon of baking soda. And rather than, what do you call it? Sift. Rather than sift this together, I just whisk it. All right, so that looks pretty darn good. So from here, I'm going to add in my wet ingredients to my dry ingredients. We'll use our scraper. And then we're just going to mix all this together. All right, then once we've got this all mixed together and it's formed into a really nice dough, I'm going to set this other stuff out of the way. I've got my oven preheating to 375 degrees. And then I'm just going to use my small stainless steel scoop. Start to scoop these out onto my cookie sheet. These look like little mini scoops of chocolate ice cream. They're so cute. All right, I think that's it. Last one on the pan. So again, the oven is at 375 degrees. These are going to go in there for about 6 to 8 minutes, so roughly 7 minutes, which is perfect because I have a 7-minute timer here. So if you guys haven't seen these before, these are awesome. I will put the link in the description below. You can get them in different time increments. So this one is 1, 3, 5, and 7 minutes, and you just turn it to however many minutes you want. And then to turn it off, you just turn it back upright. So off to the oven they go, 7 minutes, and then we'll get making our cream. All right, so fresh out of the oven. One thing I did when the timer went off, I went ahead and turned it to the 1-minute setting, and I left them in there another minute. So a full 8 minutes is how long they were in there. So while they're still warm, I'm just going to take the back of my spatula, and I'm going to press these down and kind of flatten them out just a little bit. And then we're going to let them sit on the tray until they're not completely cool. Actually, just about 5 minutes or so. They're really soft on the inside, so I want to give them time just to kind of set just a little bit before I pull them off, and then I'll move them over to my cooling rack, and we'll let them sit there until they're completely cool while we work on our cream filling. So while our cookies finish cooling, we can go ahead and work on our filling. I have a half a stick of butter here, so a 1/4 cup that I'm going to go ahead and cream with my mixer. And then I've got 2 cups of powdered sugar that I'm just slowly going to work in here, a little bit at a time. So a little bit of powdered sugar, and then we'll mix it. right, and then to make it easier to mix in the rest of the powdered sugar, I'm gonna add 1 teaspoon of water, and then I'm also gonna add in 1 teaspoon of our root beer concentrate. I should have said root beer float concentrate. That's what I use. A little bit more powdered sugar. And that looks really good. So let me check our cookies. And they are still just a little bit warm. So I'm gonna go ahead and clean up my mess here. We'll finish letting these cool and then we'll get to stuffing them together. Okay, I think our cookies have just about cooled off. So we can go ahead and start making some sandwiches out of these. Some sandwich cookies. So I'm just going to use the same scoop that I used before, and on the inside of one of my cookies we're going to put a full scoop. Make sure it's directly in the middle, and then we'll sandwich it with another cookie and be really careful to press down just until our filling is right at the edges. Look at that. These are much bigger than like an Oreo. You probably only need like one of these cookies. Maybe two. Maybe two. All right, let's fill another one. I just love sandwich cookies. I wish the filling was white, though, so it kind of looked like ice cream in the center, you know, for a root beer float. They're still very pretty. All right, let's do one more. Push it together. And I'm pretty sure that we should probably just go ahead and taste one of these. Let's push this out of the way. Definitely tastes like a root beer float. Very delicious. Super sweet, but it's a cookie. It's supposed to be sweet, right? Now, if you noticed before, when I took the cookies out, they may not have looked like they were quite done yet. But if you watched yesterday, I talked all about how to get like the perfect chewy cookie, a crispy cookie, a dense cookie, a cakey cookie, and all of that. So when it comes to this type of cookie or like an oatmeal cookie, I like to take them out a little bit before they're done and then kind of flatten them. And that's what makes them kind of chewy like this. Now, once you flatten them, sometimes you may look back and they may puff back up again, so you might have to push them back down. And I like doing that, especially with a sandwich cookie, because you don't want a really big puffy cookie, you know, unless you're making whoopie pies or something. And then filling, and then another big puffy cookie. We want to make them kind of like an Oreo, how they're, you know, flat sandwich cookie. So these are really good. If I was going to do one thing different, instead of using the root beer float concentrate in the filling, I might just use vanilla. So more like root beer in the cookie and more like vanilla in our filling. But all in all, pretty darn good. Hopefully Mark likes them. I think he will. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if I get a thumbs up or a thumbs down. But no, I think they're delicious, and I hope you guys give them a try. I thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.